I'm in your hands totally to play this in any way. Who am I?
Normally, I've given this presentation to all sorts of people. You understand the technical side of what I'm talking about, or at least you pretend you do. You're someone from the government, maybe?
Yeah.
The Ministry of Telecommunications, or you're somebody in a telecoms company.
Yeah.
Maybe you're a supplier.
Mm-hmm.
We gave this to our suppliers as well, so they can see what we're thinking about.
Yeah.
You could be local staff, part of our local people. We went on a road show and presented this to all the staff and so on. Okay, good morning. Thank you for coming. As you know, today we're going to be talking about our plans for the future, what Cable and Wireless intend to do in Kalimantan. And we put together a presentation and we've got a project here. We're calling it Project Mahakam, after the river that runs through Samarinda. I don't know why we came up with Mahakam. It's not the biggest river, it's not the deepest, it's not the widest, just a nice little river we've got over in Kalimantan. Runs through Samarinda, one of our main towns, and we just picked the name, we liked it. Project Mahakam is all about what Cable and Wireless want to do in Kalimantan, how we want to build a network, how we want to develop a network. But as we know, we've got regulatory problems at the moment, and so Mahakam will only happen if we can find a solution to those problems. Without that, as you know, Cable and Wireless are unable to invest further. But let's put that to one side. Let's focus on the positive. I'm sure we're going to solve those problems. This is what we want to do, and let's just have a little look at what we're planning to do and how we're planning to do it. First thing is the objectives of Mahakam. We've been working on this for a few months now, and we've finished phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 1, we looked at the demand. We took the information that we already have, all the customer information, and we've come up with a model, and we've come up with what we think is the demand now and into the future for telephone service in Kalimantan. We've looked at the capacity we already have in Kalimantan, the new capacity we've built, and we come up with a technology plan. The technology plan is designed to take us forward, put the new telephones in people's houses, but also to have a look at the new technologies that are coming in and hopefully cope with those. After that, we finished that in March. Between March and May, we came up with an implementation strategy, which we're going to discuss in the presentation. And then we've stopped. We've got these regulatory problems. We don't think it's fair to go on to vendor selection, get the vendors all excited when possibly it's not going to happen. And the detailed plan, there's a lot of expense in there, so we're not going to carry on with that yet. Phase 4 will be the implementation. So that's the objectives of Mahakam and what we've done to date. If we look at demand, all these plans that we must do start with demand. If there's no demand, there's no point putting the network in because nobody wants to buy it, nobody wants telephones. So if we look at the yellow line here, this is the historical demand in Kalimantan. As you can see, it's been pretty consistent. Tailing off a bit at the moment. That is because, as we know, we don't have enough lines here at the moment. We need to build more lines. So we're showing there our present number of lines, 292,000. The red line here is the demand that we're predicting from all our information. And you can see it basically carries on all the way up. 2004, 570,000 lines. So we're saying there's a steady demand in Kalimantan for lines. And we think we can virtually double the size of our network over the next 4 years. So if we come and look at the capacity, what we've got now, what we need to build, what we need to do to service that demand. When we came along, Cable and Wireless, we had 235,000 lines that we took over. To that, we've added another 125,000 lines to our network build. So we've got 360,000 lines to play with at the moment. We're estimating, end of year 2000, we'll have 310,000 lines in service, which leaves us spare capacity, or what we're calling lines for sale, of 50,000 lines. From the forecast we had on the previous slide, 576,000 lines we need by the end of 2004, which is additional sales of 266,000 lines, a virtual doubling of what we've got. So what we need to do, we're proposing with Mahakam to build 230,000 lines. We're going to sell 36 of this 50,000 to come up to our 266,000 lines that we need to build and have ready by the end of 2004. Let's put that capacity plan graphically. Here's our demand, the red line here, going all the way up. And the capacity, the yellow one, you'll see, we come along into 2000, as we go into 2001, these are illegal. As we go into 2001 here, we're suffering at the moment, as we know, from a lack of lines. We're not going to be able to give everyone who wants one's not going to get a line. But if Mahakam starts early 2001, we're going to have a rapid build. We're going to bring ourselves back up over that red demand line. And you'll see that then the capacity line follows the demand line. This is one of the new, unique things that we built into Mahakam. Normally, as you know, we would build up in steps like this, but the way Mahakam's worked, and we'll come on to it in the technology plan, we're only going to build the capacity as we need it, and we've come up with what we think is a very clever way of doing that. Let's have a look at the capacity plan. Just say we don't build Mahakam for whatever reason. There we are, you've still got the demand going up, that's exactly the same. The yellow line at the bottom there is the capacity. There would be some network builds, certainly. Major customers, people with big high bills, we would have to build capacity for them because there's money in that for us. But it will only be a few thousand lines a year. And you see there, we've got this gap in there. That is the gap between the demand and what we're able to do. If we've got customers, as we know, we've got competition coming. The competitors are going to come into Indonesia, they're going to look at the different regions, and they're going to look for this graph. They're going to look for a graph that shows a big gap in the demand. And they're going to see an opportunity. They'll come into Kalimantan, and they'll fulfill that demand. They will take that opportunity. And then they won't only take that, they'll go all to our major customers, all to our big corporate accounts, and they'll take that business from us as well. They're the people that give us 75% of our revenue. We'll lose it if we can't do this. We have to go back, we have to keep our... We have to do something, we have to keep that yellow line in line with the demand, or otherwise we're going to fail, we're going to get those guys in. So if we look, what we're saying, this gap here is an opportunity for our competitors to come in and take our business. Not just that business, all of our business. Okay. Let's have a look at our existing access network. We're going to build new stuff, we need to see what we've got already. From the exchange, primary cable, street side cabinet, secondary cable, DP, customer. The two big elements, we've got primary cable, secondary cable. Everybody knows, we all know about the problems with our primary cables. They're buried for long distances. Several kilometres, can be up to 20 kilometres. Our unfixable faults, we've now got roads built over the cable that we can't dig up, buildings, big problems in there. Primary cables are going wrong all the time and we're unable to fix them in many cases. The record system, we all know, we've just brought in the CIS system. It's complicated, it's not working properly. And also because of these faults, because of the long distances, modern services, ISDN, DSL lines, they're not well supported across these cables. The secondary cable, on the other hand, it's normally a shorter distance. It's still buried, but it's a shorter distance, just a few hundred metres. Smaller cable, so we don't get the serious faults, and it's basically a higher quality network. So what we're thinking then, most of our problems with the access network are in the primary cable side. So what can we do to overcome those problems? And that's the basis of what we're thinking about when we do Mahakam. So we come up with a plan. We've got three different types of areas to be looked at and three different solutions for them. The first one is the existing areas, and this is basically where we already have telecom services. Then we've got the expansion areas and the smaller remote areas, which I'll come on to in a minute. For the existing areas, we're going to put in ONUs, which is like the Siemens product that we already have, but there's plenty of other manufacturers out there. We need to do a study, we need to decide which is the best one for Kalimantan. And then we're going to put in fibre rings, which is this black line here. We're going to build self-healing, SDH, SDM1, fibre rings, link them up between the ONUs. Then in the exchange between the ILT and the host, we're going to put in the V5.2, which is the latest upgrade, which has the compression in there, so we can really make the best use of these fibre routes. But obviously, if the fibre's cut here, for example, this ONU can link that round the ring that way, that ONU can link round the ring that way. So therefore, one cut in the ring isn't a problem for us. We keep service running. In the expansion areas, it's basically exactly the same. These areas we're calling typically 1 or 2 radio hops out from existing areas. We're putting it over a microwave radio. We're still using the ONU so that we can keep the telemetry all the same, network topology all the same, and also in Mahakam we're going to build a new network management centre. We can keep all the software the same, everything will work the same. So that's why we want to stick with the ONU model. This is shown a point-to-point. We could also do a point-to-multi-point system on this as well. For the small and remote areas, what we're saying is carry on with the VSAT that we've been running so successfully. Our present project is 160 installations. In Mahakam we're saying another 250. And that's basically 3 lines, payphone, Wartel, whatever, in just about every village throughout Mahakam. We can't think of a better way of doing that at the moment, a more cost-effective way. So if we have a look at tomorrow's ideal network, what we think will happen, what we expect will happen, you've got here, over this side, is all new systems, the H323 multimedia, IP phones, the ABXs, and all the other bits and pieces, wireless down the bottom there. And they're going to link through an edge router into the new ATM, IP, whatever networks that are being built at the moment. Over here on the left, on the right, we've got what we've got at the moment, POTS, switch, through, and that will be linked through a gateway into these new networks, however. We're stuck with this, if you like. We're calling this the middle tier. And what we've got to do is come up with a way of getting this middle tier from being a legacy voice network that's shown there, and getting it more into the way this type of new system works. And we've come up with a migration process for doing that, especially for Kalimantan. If we look at this, this is basically the same drawing we had before. We've got your ONUs, your self-healing rings. POTS customer, on the ONU, through the IoT, out to the host, exactly the same as normal, no difference whatsoever. H323 man, wanting multimedia, maybe an ADS line, ISDN line. What we're going to do initially, because we think there's going to be so few of these for the next probably 5 years or so, we're going to give them basically a lease circuit through the system, out to a router, and link that into a data basically the internet cloud across our system or whatever. So we're not expecting a lot of this in the next few years. We don't have to upgrade the exchanges apart from the V5.2 upgrade, and that's what we're looking at. When we start to get more customers who are looking for those things, I'll change the drawing slightly here, but it's basically the same thing. We've got our POTS, we've got ISDN, XDSL, H323, whatever, all of which can be supported through the ONU. Fibre into the ILTE. Now if we upgrade the switch, and we can do this already if we wanted to, the OLTE can decide what type of call it is. And it can either take it through the switch in the normal way, or through the iPod to the data, and the router. But it is basically the OLTE that makes the decision about which way the call or the link is switched. And then stage 3, which is way in the future for us, basically the same. You've got your services, ONU, fibre, OLTE. It makes the decision which way it's routed. But if we've got capacity problems, then you can just swap round. If you've got a switch call, it can go voice over IP and out that way. If you've got like a data, it can come in, it can go voice over ATM and out through the switch way. Just gives you a bit more flexibility. But by the time we do this, you're going to have most of your capacity as a data, ATM or IP, and only a little bit of your capacity left in the other way. So what's it going to cost us? Always a big question. We estimate we need 106 kilometres of duct and fibre, 8.2 million, 340 ONU units, 71 million, 12 switch upgrades to D5.2, another 6.4 million. Related cost per line, we said we were going to build 230,000 lines. We've had to put in 73 million, that's for secondary cables, bit of changeover, line cards in the switch, things like that. New network management centre, which we desperately need, 6 million. And SAP, which is the back office system for the new billing and the new accounting system, being lumped in there, 3 million. So we're looking at 167, around 170 million for the whole project. The measure, as we know, is always cost per line. So if we build 230,000 lines, we spend 168 million. Up to the end of 2004, that's going to cost us $730 a line, which is already a big improvement on the 1,000, 1,100 we've been spending before. If, however, just for a bit of scale, if we were to completely equip 340 ONUs, 340,000 lines, we'd have to spend 203 million on the extra line cards and bits and pieces. But you see the price per line would come down to $597, which is a significant improvement. So there we are, that's Mahakam. As I say, it's our vision for the future, it's what Cable and Wireless want to do, and all we've got to do is get across the regulatory hurdles, and we'll be doing it. Any questions?
I had no questions, but I really enjoyed that. Well done, really good.
Thank you.
You don't mean me.
Okay, I'll go home. You go home and rest.